here, and today I'm going to tell you why I don't eat grains anymore. And why making that decision was undoubtedly one of the best choices I could have made for the health of my body. Okay, so first you're probably wondering which food items are considered grains. Grains include wheat, rice, barley, oats, corn, ancient grains, and I even avoid quinoa, which is technically a seed, but the body tends to respond to it like a grain. I don't eat any of it anymore. So that means I don't eat whole wheat bread, I don't eat popcorn, I don't eat grain cereals or oatmeal even, but yet I feel more satisfied than ever when I eat my meals. I have more freedom to eat foods that I enjoy. My body is getting more nutrients from this style of eating, and I feel more energized from my food choices than ever before. For a full year now, I have stayed away from all grains, and since my body has responded so positively to this change, I really want to share this information with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story to explain how all of this came about. For years, I used to be gluten-free because I definitely recognized my body's inflammatory response to gluten. Even when I was in middle school, where I was super active and very physically fit, I noticed that wheat products had a tendency to make me feel a little bloated, and I just didn't have a name for it back then. Because of that, as the years progressed and I learned about gluten sensitivities, I had chosen to follow a gluten-free lifestyle for years, thinking that that was enough. Over time, I did notice that I wasn't able to get all of the results that I was looking for in a gluten-free diet, but I really didn't see many other viable options out there for me. So last year, my mom and I were talking, and she told me that she had watched a video from Dr. Terry Walls, a medical doctor who was literally on her deathbed from multiple sclerosis, which is considered a chronic neurological disease. Dr. Walls explained how her extreme dietary changes slowed the progression of her disease and led her on a remarkable road to recovery. Dr. Walls had tried all sorts of conventional medical treatments, yet her condition was continuing to decline. She decided to follow a strict hunter-gatherer, paleo-inspired diet that she modified to ensure that she had an abundance of nutrients flowing through her body. Dr. Wall's story is amazing because after changing her eating habits drastically, which also included eliminating grains, she went from being in a wheelchair to now being able to walk across the stage as she tells audiences about her recovery. So after watching her story, my mom told me she was going to try a hunter-gatherer way of eating for 21 days because that's how long it takes to break a habit. I thought it was great, but I honestly didn't know if there would be that much of a difference because we were already gluten-free, and so I didn't really expect anything too drastic to occur. My mom was already a healthy size, but after the 21 days, she looked leaner, and not in an unhealthy, gaunt way, but in a very healthy way. I decided to try it myself since I'm always looking for ways to be healthier, and if I see great results, I will wholeheartedly dedicate myself to something. Just a few days in, my body lost inflammation that I did not even know that I had. My clothes felt looser, my face and body looked leaner. I felt a consistent and large surge of energy throughout the day. And overall, I just felt a greater sense of well-being. I just felt really happy. I was honestly amazed. After removing all grains, my body felt so much better. Now, some people may eat a little differently here and there, but generally speaking, people who follow a hunter-gatherer or paleo lifestyle eat pretty similarly. They don't eat any grains. They eat grass-fed meats, fish, fruits, vegetables, eggs, and healthy oils like coconut oil and olive oil. Paleo people eat a lot of good fats, and they limit their carb intake, so eventually the body relies on fat as its main source of energy, instead of carbs. This type of lifestyle helps you burn fat because it's burning it for energy. And as surprising as this may seem, the more good fats you eat, like omega-3s, the more likely you are to burn off any old stored fat you have, because good fats actually help your liver to burn the fat in your body more efficiently. After researching why grains affect our bodies, I learned that all grains contain prolamins, which are inflammatory proteins that can wreak havoc in the human body. In wheat, the inflammatory prolamin is referred to as gliadin, which is a component of gluten, which is why people avoid gluten. Other grains like corn and oats also contain inflammatory prolamins. They just have different names, but they can be just as harmful as gliadin. Now, there is a protein called zonulin that is also in your body. It determines whether your intestinal wall opens or closes to allow nutrients in, and it's not supposed to allow harmful substances to enter. Unfortunately, when a prolamin, like gliadin, attempts to enter your intestinal wall, it has an effect on zonulin. The levels of zonulin increase in your body, making your intestinal wall more permeable, which means that your wall begins to open, allowing the large and destructive prolamins, which are very difficult for the body to break down, and other harmful substances to enter. This can lead to a leaky gut, where the small intestine begins to leak because the high levels of zonulin are preventing your intestinal wall from closing. And for some, it will stay this way until you remove substances like gliadin from your diet. As you can imagine, all of this puts the body in an inflammatory state. Many studies have shown that inflammation is the root of most diseases. This is why it is so important to remove foods that can cause inflammation in your body, like grains. And this doesn't just pertain to people with celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disease. People with gluten sensitivities like myself are affected by these inflammatory responses as well. I don't have an autoimmune disease, so obviously it's to a lesser degree, but it is still causing inflammation in my body, which is problematic for me. And on top of that, when asked in an interview if everyone is gluten intolerant in some way, Dr. Alessio Fasano, founder of the Center for Celiac Research and the doctor credited with discovering zonulin, responded by saying yes, no one can properly digest gluten. He also stated that we do not have the enzymes to break it down. According to him, the difference is that some people's intestinal walls are just able to close quickly, and they're able to excrete the harmful substances before their immune system notices that they're there. Now, don't assume you're in the clear just because you aren't experiencing any stomach or intestinal issues. According to Dr. David Perlmutter, a neurologist and the author of the book Grain Brain, gluten sensitivity can be found in a person whose stomach and intestines are working perfectly because it could be impairing their brain's function instead. This could result in depression, ADHD in children, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and more. Keep in mind that all of these issues stem from inflammation. Dr. Perlmutter says that when your blood sugar is high, it also increases inflammation in your brain. And he says that a slice of whole wheat bread increases your blood sugar more than a tablespoon of sugar or a Snickers candy bar. Now, we obviously shouldn't eat any of that, but the sad part is most people are eating whole wheat bread thinking that they're making the healthiest choice, and it could actually be hurting them. On top of all of the information that I've provided, I also want to add that the grains that our ancestors ate are not the same grains that we're eating today. For almost 60 years, we've been eating genetically manipulated dwarf grains, that's what they're called, which contain far less nutrients and are much cheaper than the original grains were. These grains were manipulated in the 1960s so that companies could produce a higher yield of product, but they're terrible for our health. Further adding to the argument that it appears that we are pretty much better off without grains. So really, if you have any type of inflammatory gastrointestinal disorder like Crohn's disease, or a neurological disease like multiple sclerosis, or problems with depression, ADHD, Alzheimer's, dementia, or if you have an autoimmune thyroid disorder, or if you just want to be proactive in protecting yourself from all of these inflammatory diseases, then you really should consider trying a grain-free diet. Okay, so after all of this, I hope you understand why going grain-free is a game changer. I like to say I follow a hunter-gatherer, paleo-inspired diet because I don't follow the paleo diet exactly. I have my own hybrid grain-free diet, but it's pretty close. I eat fruits, vegetables, tons of healthy fats like olive oil. I take fish oil supplements and I eat avocados. I eat turkey, eggs, zucchini, nuts, bone broth, and over time I have found a lot of grain-free food brands that make delicious grain-free products. Everything I eat is very intentional, and it is to provide my body with as many nutrients as I can and to stay as far away from inflammation as possible. I am grain-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free, and as weird or horrible as that may sound, I feel like I have much more freedom to enjoy food, more so than ever before, because I'm not afraid that my food choices are going to cause an inflammatory response or unnecessary weight gain. My mom, sister, and I share the same eating habits, and we love creating recipes and finding tasty grain-free products to try. I love the fact that I can make myself grain-free muffins, because I love muffins occasionally, and not feel heavy or bloated the next day like I would have with regular muffins or even gluten-free muffins. Without the grains, I'm able to listen to what my body truly needs instead of using grains as a filler. I encourage you to research the information that I have talked about today. I will say that if you decide to do a grain-free diet for 21 days to try it out, then you really need to commit. Because if you cheat here or there, you still might have inflammation in your body and you may not experience the full effects. So if you do it, go all in. You got this. Nothing but peace and love. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, you are not alone. We are on this journey together. Until next time.